Hey, my name is Michal. I'm the head of international financial services at Funded by Me. Funded by Me is the leading crowdfunding platform in the Nordics. And I tried today to do a video for you, but it didn't work out. So I will give my best to be as entertaining as I can be to give you a crash introduction to crowdfunding. I planned a session for around 30 minutes. Please feel free to drop me an email to get in touch with me via LinkedIn. I will come back for a question and answer round and just let's dig into it. I work in fintech since 3 to 4 years. Previously at Rocket Internet, where I worked for a venture called Lendico. Lendico was a peer-to-peer lender between consumers. I helped my colleagues at Lendico to launch the venture, I think now in around 7 countries. Then I moved to Stockholm, where the company asked me to join in order to launch the first peer-to-peer lending platform in the Nordics between consumers and business. Currently, I'm an expert for equity crowdfunding at the Crowdfunding Hub and the European Equity Crowdfunding Association. And I'm additionally a researcher on crowdfunding at FinTech at the Stockholm School of Economics, where I give my best to combine the practical knowledge with the scarce amount of academia that we currently have in connection with crowdfunding. Today's agenda will cover mostly practical aspects of crowdfunding. Having this half an hour of time, I would like to focus on the challenges that actually crowdfunding does solve, the types of crowdfunding, the ways how you can find employment within crowdfunding, and practical examples of companies that made it or have been financed within crowdfunding. Plus, there might be some additional bonus material at the end. Crowdfunding solves the challenge that we have plenty of entrepreneurs or creative people, or usually both, who have these fantastic ideas. But in the past, let's say that you will have a great idea and you will reach out to your bank and say, I need to have an X amount of euro, an X amount of dollars in order to finance my idea. Then the bank will come back to you asking you for collaterals. They will ask you to put your house on risk. With crowdfunding, you can reach out to the crowd and ask them for support and check if somebody really needs your product. Often, what has to be underlined, people think that crowdfunding is like a new phenomenon. It's not true. So crowdfunding has been there since centuries. When you travel to Europe and you go to our old medieval city centers, then you will see that they are churches. Often in the past, people have been crowdfunding those churches. So plenty of people came together in order to finance one of these buildings. So crowdfunding has been there since centuries, but it has been empowered with globalization, with the lowering cost of transactions since 2009, 2010. It helps entrepreneurs instead of in the past reaching out to your friends, family, to the banks or to the government. You could now ask or reach out to the platform or reach out to a crowd 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And of course, you can do it internationally and tell them, listen, I have this idea. This is what I have been doing. That's my prototype. Please give me a certain amount of money so I can give you A, a cap on return, B, a part of my shares, C, I can pay you back the money. This possibility has not been there before. It's now available, I think, since last 1 or 2 years. But this is, of course, one of the reasons why the amount of knowledge that we have connected to crowdfunding, who is actually the investor, which type of different platforms do we have, is very limited because the phenomenon is so new. The World Bank predicted in the year of 2011 that crowdfunding, based on their data that they had by then, will surpass venture capital funding around 2020, 2025. Now we know that by the end of 2015, crowdfunding has raised $6 billion more than venture capital. So now you can see that crowdfunding is bigger than venture capital, and it's still growing faster than venture capital, and it shows you the potential of crowdfunding. This is the reason why it's very important to get connected to it as soon as you can, to have the so-called first mover advantage that will help you to be on the top of the market. Coming back to the agenda, I think now you know which type of challenges crowdfunding solves and how it involves. Now I'd like to discuss with you the different types of crowdfunding. Bill Gates said once that banking is essential, but banks are not. And please keep in mind this quote once you would think about crowdfunding, because it really allows people to collect money from other people and be connected to other ambassadors and investors directly without the participation of a traditional financial institution, what is quite new. Usually, when we talk to entrepreneurs and we ask them how they would like to finance their business idea, they tend to think that they have to finance it with their own savings or with FF, what are family and friends that you can see on the left side. Sometimes they think about business angels and venture capital or government funds that they could apply for. Because today's time is quite limited, I will talk with you about crowdfunding, but of course, once you would like to know more about the different types of financing, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to share with you the slides connected to business angels, venture capital, and public funds. According to a more academic definition, crowdfunding takes place when a large amount of people like you and me are coming together in order to help an entrepreneur or help a person, an institution to collect money over the internet. Crowdfunding has evolved or speeded up around 2009 as the financial crisis kicked in and banks pulled back from more risky investments into small and medium enterprises or startups. This created a niche that crowdfunding has filled out. Often when I'm being asked to give a lecture about crowdfunding, at the beginning my audience tends to think that crowdfunding is this one thing, like we have one banking. But crowdfunding has many subsections, and many are additionally coming up currently. Usually crowdfunding has started with donation-based crowdfunding, where you give a small amount of money, and let's say to a charity, to an NGO, and you don't expect anything in return. Then it emerged and moved forward with reward-based crowdfunding, where you give a small amount of money as well. It's around 50 to 60 euro, what is 60 to $70. And then you expect to receive an item in return once the campaign has been fully financed and the item has been produced. On the right side, you can see equity-based crowdfunding, the famous Jobs Act, which has been passed in the US, where you offer a part of your company, and in return, you receive investments as an entrepreneur. And of course, you as an investor, you can invest into a company, wait for them to do an exit, to do an IPO, on merger and acquisition, and then receive way bigger profits. Today, we will talk mostly about the three most common types of crowdfunding: what is reward-based crowdfunding, equity-based crowdfunding, and consumer-to-business crowd lending. I have to point out that we have a naming issue. In European countries, with the exception of the UK, usually we tend to talk about crowd lending. Our colleagues in the UK and mostly in the US say peer-to-peer lending. Of course, when I say peer-to-peer lending or crowd lending, I mean the same things, but sometimes the naming can be an issue. In front of you, you can see the startup financing cycle, which is a very common graph that you have seen for many times. The red line indicates the path that an entrepreneur has to do from the beginning. You have a fantastic idea until an IPO or up to an IPO, where the company can be launched in a stock exchange. There are different types of funding from a crowdfunding perspective that suit the different needs of an entrepreneur during this period. Let's start with reward-based crowdfunding. Reward-based crowdfunding is suitable for the valley of death. Let's say that you have created a company, or you even didn't create a company yet, but you would like to check if there is a demand for your product that you would like to create. Keep in mind that one of the biggest reasons why startups do fail is because they produce something that nobody wants. So with reward-based crowdfunding, you don't have any kind of risk. You can log on to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or your local platform, and then upload your pitch and check if there's a demand for your product. Usually on the right side, you can see that the average age of entrepreneurs which are using reward-based crowdfunding is quite young. They tend to be 19 to 25. Mostly they are not entrepreneurs yet. They don't have a real business experience. Reward-based crowdfunding, it's one of the first things that they might do. They might have some networks, but it's not that they are well connected within the place where they stay. And usually their businesses tend to not be profitable yet. Once an entrepreneur has something what is called a social proof, so they have a mock-up, a demo, a successfully raised reward-based crowdfunding funds, and of course a limited liability company, they can reach out to the platform, and this is the time when equity-based crowdfunding moves in. The entrepreneurs tend to be a little bit older or more experienced than in a reward-based crowdfunding. At the beginning, they do struggle to understand the process a little bit because you have to know how to issue shares in your country. Plus, in case you would like to sell 10 to 15% of your own company, you have to know how much it is worth. And that's quite tricky at the beginning, but please feel free to reach out to the platforms. They work together with partners who could help out with these matters. The difference between reward-based and equity-based crowdfunding is the amount of money that can be raised. When the average reward-based crowdfunding backing is $50 to $60, then for equity-based crowdfunding, it's around 2.5 thousand euro. It's like $2,800 up to 3.5, $2.9 thousand dollars. That's like a median investment. An equity-based crowdfunding companies seek usually to receive $5,000-$6,000, and it can stop at around 5 to 6 million. Even they're one of the biggest cases that we had within equity-based crowdfunding. There was just some legislation passed in the US, what was called Jobs Act. It's a little bit more complex in other European countries, but when you think about equity crowdfunding and those investors, they don't ask you to deliver a product once the product has been created, but they rather ask you to do extremely well and perform an exit, so they will receive a higher rate of returns once you will go towards a stock exchange. Once a company has existed for at least 1.5 to 2 years, there's enough track record for the platform to check within or with a scoring agency or credit bureau the so-called scoring. This means that the entrepreneur, instead of selling a part of his or her equity, like it was within equity-based crowdfunding, can ask lenders to lend him or her money and then pay back within a certain time frame. This allows on one side the lenders to support local businesses which create jobs and support the neighborhood, and on the other hand allows companies to reach out to you and me to receive funding instead of going to the banks. So it's a win-win for both sides. Often in many countries those loans tend to be cheaper than the loans which are usually being issued from the banks. Entrepreneurs tend to be older or more experienced than those ones who seek equity. Additionally, it's important to say that in lending, when it comes to the motivation of the lenders, as for equity-based crowdfunding, the investors rather would like to be a part of the game and support the company. In lending, they are way stronger externally oriented. This means that they have an external motivation, so they think that they will receive a rate of return in the future. So then it's very important from entrepreneurs' perspective to show the credibility, to show all of the awards that somebody has received, all of the collaterals that basically would keep the lender convinced that in case of emergency the money will be paid back. One of the most important questions that you might have when you are a lender, before you lend money, please reach out to the platform or read the terms of service and ask the platform what happens in case the entrepreneur is not able to pay back. How does the process look like? Usually in plenty of countries this process is very straightforward, but in case the platform tends to answer with we do whatever we can, but you don't have it, it's not included in terms of service, that's potentially not the best sign that you can have. So crowd lending is now the biggest part of crowdfunding or peer-to-peer lending. It's the biggest growing. and it's the most promising at the current stage in terms of turnover for the lenders as well. To like give you an understanding how actually crowdfunding has developed, I just show you the slide that shows you the development of Funded by Me. The company started because two entrepreneurs which are located in Sweden couldn't upload a project on Kickstarter, and they decided to do a platform themselves. This is how Funded by Me has started, with reward-based crowdfunding. Then around 2013 there was a brewery, and they couldn't give back beer in return because alcohol is being a little bit more restricted in the Nordic countries than it is in other countries. Sometimes a little bit similar to the northern parts of Canada. In this way, the entrepreneur has asked what else they can give in return towards investors, and this is when the platform has decided to launch equity-based crowdfunding. And around 2014, as the market has developed as well, crowd lending has been launched. Firstly in Germany, and then afterwards in Sweden, where the companies are from Germany, are from Sweden, and then lenders can be from different countries. So far, the legislation allows them to lend money to companies abroad. And this shows you that crowdfunding is still developing, so it's not closed. As mentioned when I was showing you the different types of crowdfunding, there are new types of crowdfunding coming up, like a real estate crowdfunding. Potentially this is something what we will see in the long run as one of the offerings from different platforms. Okay, so far so good. So let's do a short summary. I was giving you these three examples of different types of crowdfunding. We have discussed reward-based crowdfunding, which is there to receive a proof of record. You don't have to have a company. You can just upload your project. You don't have any kind of risks. Then we have equity-based crowdfunding, when entrepreneurs are a bit older, where you can sell a part of your company and the gains are way higher. But of course, then you have to know how much the company is worth. And then one of the last products is crowd lending, where plenty of entrepreneurs are male. You can see that 82% of crowd lending entrepreneurs slash lenders are male as well. The average age goes up. Fine. The third part of the presentation is connected with the successful entrepreneurs. So now you have heard about the different types of crowdfunding, but it's very important to see which type of project actually fits into which category and why. Let's start with the Blank Spot project. The Blank Spot project has been led by an NGO which came together because they realized that there are plenty of topics which are not usually being covered within irregular mainstream journalism. They decided to reach out and create the platform, or like the newspaper themselves, which is covering the topics which are not usually being covered. As you can see on the right side, they have collected 122,000 euro, which is around 140,000 US dollars. But then please keep in mind the amount of backers on the right side that have been giving those funds. Here I have underlined it for you once again to see how much money has been actually raised by how many backers. And once you will divide the amount of money raised by the amount of backers, you will be surprised how small the amount of investments have been into those different projects. An equity-based crowdfunding case what was successful was Fikabox. Fikabox has been launched in June 2015. They deliver dried snacks to individuals once a week. It's like a subscription service. Please have a look on the right side that this 180,000 euro have been collected not from 1,890 backers, but from 54 investors. This was not a final number yet, because Fikabox was still having an active campaign when I took this print screen. But this shows you that equity-based crowdfunding is way different than reward-based crowdfunding. Because once you decide to invest into equity-based crowdfunding, of course, because it's a way high amount of money, you have a different due diligence process. Potentially, you as an investor that you perform on, you should perform. What motivates you more in order to look more closely or deeper into the business or the entrepreneur in general. Often when we have talked to investors preliminary last year, they said that they really review if the company is live now. They ask for a sample product, they ask for a demo, they check the quality of the entrepreneur, they check the education of the entrepreneur, they check the education and the rewards of the team, etc. So it's not only funding and numbers, there are plenty of different aspects related to it which are hidden behind that. A peer-to-peer lending or crowd lending campaign, what was successful was Ad Movement. Ad Movement was back then led by Marit. You can see her on the wheelchair. She has developed a wheelchair which allows people to go out to the countryside, to go out and ski. And it's very similar to Fika Box, where a big amount of money, way over 150,000-60,000 euro, has been collected from small amount of lenders. It's the same like at Movement at the current stage. On the right side, you can see the yearly interest rate that the platform has calculated, the duration of the loan, and the so-called risk indicator. So this is how the platform shows of how the due diligence process / scoring agency result looks like that is being sent back from the scoring agency. When it comes to the duration of a certain campaign, usually the duration is around 45 days. On the left side, you can see the amount of funding which is being processed via the platform. On the right side, of course, you can see the days. This means in the beginning, at least on average, the entrepreneur decides to put in everything that they can into social media, into the different types of marketing that they use. And once the campaign reaches 20-25 days, they get a little bit lazy. And then once they see that the amount of money which is coming into the campaign is it's not enough, and the amount of money that they can get is way too small, they really speed up by the end of the campaign. And this is usually, at least on average, how the money is flowing across the platform. But this is one of the reasons why you should not really trust averages and medians, which are being sent out sometimes by the platforms or evaluated by researchers, because often in terms of crowdfunding, a lot of things is very strongly dependent on you or the entrepreneur and all of the activities which are being done. This is a graph which shows you the amount of money which has been flowing in to the platform versus the activities which have been performed by the entrepreneur. You can see it on a red line that they have sent out a newsletter. They had an interview with Dagens Industry, which is one of the biggest economical paper in Sweden. Then they did an offline presentation, one of the schools. And then there was an investor pitch, which was offline, which helped the company to finance its final goal. There's another difference between how male entrepreneurs tend to submit and act on a crowdfunding platform and how female entrepreneurs do that. Usually, I can say that the best comparison would be that male entrepreneurs tend to focus on the pitch creation very strongly, and then click the magical submit button and think that the magic will happen. On the other hand, female entrepreneurs tend to treat a crowdfunding campaign more like an election. So there is a movement, then there is a certain marketing campaign, then the amount of money grows, then it goes down, then there are different newsletters. So it's like an action and reaction. Even though the amount of female entrepreneurs which are being processed by the platforms, or by our platform at least, is way smaller, the likelihood that the female entrepreneur will be way successful or way more successful is much higher. Okay, hi there. I hope that you are still with me. I gave my best to summarize the different types of crowdfunding and now to give you examples of successful entrepreneurs. And now we'll move forward with the crowdfunding process. I have decided to divide it into 6 different stages, and I hope that you like it. Okay, let's dig into it. At the beginning, the entrepreneur has to make a certain decision in which type of platform is supposed to be used. There are different types of platform which suit different purposes. Often they are only reward-based platform or equity-based platforms, or they deal with a certain type of product. Please make sure that you choose the platform that really fits your needs, and I think that's very, very important. We will talk about it at the next stage a little bit more. Once the decision is being made which type of platform is supposed to be used, there's a pitch creation stage. In the pitch creation stage, the entrepreneur has to answer those questions which are being sent in from the platform, plus create a pitch, create a video, provide a platform and investors with certain type of documents. Once everything has been done, the platform is allowing the entrepreneur to go live. It is not really clear how long the pitch creation stage can take. We had entrepreneurs where it took them around 4 to 5 hours, and we had entrepreneurs where it took them around 1 to 2 years to fill out all of the questions, and there were not that many, to fill out the questions that have been sent in from the platform. Once the project is being live, this is the time where investors, backers, and lenders can support the project. It differs from platform to platform, from 30 days usually to 90 days. Often entrepreneurs, as mentioned on the gender slide, tend to think that they just have to submit the project and the magic happens. Usually it doesn't happen. So there are plenty of activities which have to be planned. Once this funding round is being concluded successfully, the platform is asking the entrepreneur usually to submit additional documents showing that, for example, the bank account where the money is supposed to be paid out is owned by them, etc. This is the stage where the funds are getting paid out. Once the funds are being paid out, there's a delivery stage, and of course this very strongly depends on the type of crowdfunding that is being used. And reward-based crowdfunding, this is the time where you do produce your cup. Or in equity-based crowdfunding, this is the time when you do when you create the share issue process. On crowd lending, this is the time when you get the funding and then you do the investments in order to pay back the funds pay back the funds in return as soon as you can, according to the payment schedule that you have received or agreed upon with lenders on the platform. And often in this sixth stage or the sub-part, what is being forgotten is that once you have delivered your product to the investors, or you have paid back the money, or you have done your exit, please keep in mind that those guys are still your ambassadors. And this is the nice difference between crowdfunding and, let's say, a bank transfer, because once you have a bank transfer, from a bank, you can't really expect the clerk or the bank officials to give you feedback on your product. Once you have a transfer from a crowdfunding platform and you have plenty of ambassadors, please feel free to reach out to them and to ask them about their preferences, to test the product, to get you in touch with the network, etc. And this is one of the biggest advantages of crowdfunding in general, what is being forgotten by the entrepreneurs, because they think that once they have delivered their cup or their product and pay back the funds, this is when the game is over. Basically, this is when the game is supposed to start. How to choose the correct platform? Please keep in mind that there are different factors and platforms do differ strongly. I think only within the European Union we have around 580 different platforms, and of course, first of all, they differ in the types of crowdfunding. They tend to be like a reward-based crowdfunding platform like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, or they can be equity-based crowdfunding platforms like ours, or they can be a crowd lending or peer-to-peer lending platforms like Funding Circle as an example. And of course, ask them, and when you compare them, please check which type of public relation activities will they do for you once the project is being live. Which type of offline channels do they use? How big is the network? Is the platform internationally connected, or is this only local? This is very important for you as well. Once you would like to expose your product internationally, you might maybe go with an international platform. Once you have an international platform, which is just crowded with a different projects, maybe you will not be you will not be suited that well, because your project might go under in 150 million other projects that are currently being visible on the platform. And maybe you just offer local services and you don't need to be internationally connected. When it comes to the offline offer, some of the platforms like ours, we do offer like investor evenings. Investors evening mean that on one side there, all of the investors might or really would like to come into the platform, not to the platform, but to one of the places that is agreed upon. Usually it's 50 to 500 people, so it really differs. And then there are investors watching and entrepreneurs pitching during the evening. Such a pitch takes like around 2 to 5 minutes, and afterwards they do mingle, exchange business cards, and this is how the investments are happening. And this is a kind of service which is being offered from some platforms, but not from others. Please check the platform and check the services which are being offered from offline perspective. Additionally, it's important to understand how strongly the platform will support you. Will you receive feedback to your project, to your campaign? Is there somebody that you can sit down with? Often the platforms have done it for so many times they know which type of answers the investors look for. And often, please, before you reach out to the platform asking them basic questions, just check the FAQ section, because often 80 to 90% of the questions which are being sent in are those questions which are being covered on the next page of a pitch creation process of the websites once the entrepreneur has signed up. Ask the platform, please, about the listing fees. This means that how expensive is it for you to submit a project to a platform? And sometimes it is between 0 and I think the highest that I found was 14.5 thousand euro, which is around $16,000. And what is included in this fees? Platforms have introduced listing fees in order to a little bit distinguish the entrepreneurs from those entrepreneurs who really want that, because in the past the platform has done all of its work, all of its offline marketing, etc., but then the entrepreneur didn't do anything because they just thought it's a responsibility of the platform. And then I think there was a tendency during the couple of last years to introduce the listing fee, which is distinguishing the entrepreneurs from those who really want that, those ones who are just submitting a project. Of course, you know your project the best, and you know which type of financing is being needed, and ask the platform which type of projects have been financed on the platform, which are very similar to yours. And this is very, very important, because in case the platform is only financing music instruments and you would like to produce a music instrument, that's a fantastic platform for you. But in case the platform is financing mining and you would like to give the investors a choice to invest into a music instrument, as shallow as it sounds, then of course this is not the right choice. Just allow the platform to send a couple of projects which might be similar to yours, and you will be surprised. Often you can get additional input from those type of projects, and it's definitely a step to go. How do platforms make money? Often platforms take a certain cut of the money that you will make once you have collected those funds. Let's say that you have collected $100,000, so you will not get $100,000, but you will get $100,000 minus a certain commission the platform takes. And this differs very strongly, I think, from 3% from 1%. And the different types of crowdfunding, of course, from 1% up to I think 15 or 16%. I have seen different success fees.
Okay, so how does it look like from a practical perspective
to either work for the platform or to work with the services the platform is providing? Let's have a look. I have told you during one of the last slides that only within the EU we have around 550 different platforms, and the market, at least on the European side, is quite fragmented. This means that once you review the contact sections of the platforms, then you will see that those platforms consist out of 5, 6, maybe 10 people usually. This is supposed to change within the next 3 to 4 years, as there will be a tendency for platforms to merge together and become bigger. But until now, let's start with the first possibility for you to find employment is to reach out to the platforms directly and to be one of the co-workers within a platform. This means for you that this type of employment will be very lean. It's being lean, it's easier to say than to be executed, because often, even if your responsibility is A, there might be a investor evening when there are 300 people coming, and you just have to make sure that they have a place where they can hang their jackets. Additionally, usually platforms do work with due diligence, they work with user experience design, they work with front end, there is for sure a lead generation team, there's a compliance team, and this is something which you can find for sure within all of the platforms. This might be the possibility one. The possibility two is that often entrepreneurs are reaching out to the platforms and they think that those platforms will help them with everything. So with their strategy, with their marketing strategy, with their packaging, with their logistic, etc. But platforms are not really doing it. The goal of the platform is to grab the product or to grab the entrepreneur, to make sure that he or she understands the process, that he or she is not a terrorist, there is an anti-money laundering, know your customer check. Then the entrepreneur is being processed across the platform. The investors express the wish to invest, as an example. Then once the money is being collected, the platform takes its cut. This is the responsibility of the platform. When entrepreneurs are reaching out to receive strategic consulting, so once you have a consulting firm or you would like to start a consulting firm, there's nothing better for you than just to have a partnership with the crowdfunding platform, because the crowdfunding platform would love to give the entrepreneurs this additional type of service and pass them on to you, and receive potentially maybe a small commission in return. And these areas are mostly connected to valuation, to the share issue process, to the international development, often to accounting. So whatever you have done in your past, which is more connected with small and medium enterprises, it's basically a perfect fit for the platform. You just have to package it in a very nice way. Additionally, often, just please consider if you would like to do consulting work for startups. Once you have this experience, then you can help them with strategy, with online marketing, with data science, with communication, and you can, in case you can afford to do it, you can see it as an investment as well, to take a small amount of payment plus to take a part of the equity, as an example. And this will allow you to not only have a cookie but then eat a cookie. So once you help a company to develop in a certain way, then of course you get a part of equity, what might benefit you in the future, which is good. And this is how I see the potentials at the current stage when it comes to employment within a platform. Good. From a agenda perspective, we have covered all of the different types of crowdfunding. I have given you the examples. We have covered the process. I told you about the HR needs of crowdfunding platforms, or at least this is my subjective vision or point of view on the HR needs from the platforms. And I would like to give you a small bonus. And I think this is one of the biggest challenge that the platforms are having. Plus, I see plenty of candidates which don't really understand the difference between those two types of positions, and then they apply for something where they end up being very unhappy with. From my perspective, one of the biggest misunderstood position that is available within a platform is marketing. Often, we have applications, and those graduates or professionals reach out and say that they would like to be marketing experts or marketing managers or marketing something. But there is a very big difference, as you potentially know. I don't discover the word for you, between a public relation and offline marketing, and online performance marketing that we basically have. On one side, when it comes to public relation, offline marketing, everything what has to do with investor relation or with the investor evening, or everything which is not connected to the computer, how to help entrepreneurs to receive the funds, how to give them offline connections, how to engage a network, everything. This usually, the public relation offline marketing, needs a person which has developed from social sciences, has a very extensive network, fantastic communication skills, a brilliant language quality, etc. This is what public relation offline marketing is. On the other hand, an online performance marketing, all of the aspects related to affiliate marketing, SEM, adverbs, etc. Usually, people who are happy to apply for those positions are guys with very analytical background, because online performance marketing is more about this CTR, so the click-through rates. When you click on a certain commercial, then you receive a certain lead. We have to have as many commercials to get a certain amount of traffic on the platform, etc. So please, once you decide to apply to a platform, make sure that you understand for which position you do apply, because usually it's nearly impossible that you will find one person that can cover public relation and offline marketing and at the same time online performance marketing. And I tell you a secret, additionally, those two guys don't like each other as well. So one is very analytical and would like to have data and results. The other one is more, I would call it more emotional, and would like to understand how things are and works with language. It's good once you are a manager, additionally, that can combine or can connect both of those islands. But those islands are it's very tricky to connect both of them. But this has been a big challenge for plenty of crowdfunding companies I talked with. And just please keep in mind, as the small bonus, maybe one of the things that you will remember, besides the fact that crowdfunding is upcoming and might be a good place to start your career, and is this that you have to make sure if you are on the green side or if you're on the dark blue side, from my perspective. Good. So to summarize this I guess 40 minutes, I have defined you the different types of crowdfunding. You have learned about reward-based crowdfunding, equity-based crowdfunding, peer-to-peer lending, real estate crowdfunding. We have discussed the different campaign structures, the period of the campaign, the gender differences within entrepreneurs. I have told you how you can choose the different platforms. We have went across the 6 stages of communication. I have shared with you whatever I think that is important to know about the employment possibilities within the crowdfunding, and I very, very strongly encourage you to have a look on it and check if maybe you would like to make a change and to work with entrepreneurs and help them to receive funding and see those companies grow, because this is one of the best employments that you can ever have. And I do enjoy each day meeting with entrepreneurs and seeing them grow, and we have long-term relationships, and I think that's one of the best places on earth where you can be at the current stage. So to conclude, if you were waiting for a sign to make a change, from my perspective, this is it. So this is the sign. This is the time for you to make the next decisions. Please feel free. On the next slide, you will see my contact details. I'm available on LinkedIn as well. Please feel free to reach out. I have plenty of reports connected to crowdfunding. I think mainly within Europe, and then more and more towards different Southeast Asian countries. But please be in touch and just Google the different crowdfunding platforms and make the change. It's a good employment and you would love it. Thank you so much. And in case you made it so far, I'm very happy, and I gave my best, even without the small video, to be as entertaining as I can, and to give you a crush introduction to crowdfunding. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.